I like it when the Avs look like the Avs. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche postgame show live from the Xfinity studio and presented by Bet365. J. Mike and Rudo coming to you as the Avs defeat the San Jose Sharks 4-2. A much more comfortable game from Colorado, at least from my viewing seat.
Yeah, I mean, there was some wonkiness, obviously, that happened in the third. We'll get into all of that, but I think more or less it was nice to see this team play their brand of hockey again.
Yep. When you look at the process of this game, you know, even that 5 minutes of the third period it's part of Avalanche life. Sometimes they do those things, but they ultimately get the job done, and they do it in a fashion that is not unique to them this year. They've done a lot of games where 40-plus shots, dominating possession for the majority of the game. A lot of good things that we'll break into there ultimately. Did want to start here, though. This marks the 13th or 14th game in a row, I'd have to double check, that the team that scored first won the game when the Avs are playing in. Is there something to this, or am I reading too much into a nothing stat?
Probably a little bit of both, right? Like there's an element of coincidence in there.
For sure.
In a 60-minute game, weird stuff's going to happen. But there's also something as simple as it's easier to play with a lead than it is to come from behind. And
it's true.
I think this is the perfect example of that, right? Because you have a bit of a sluggish stretch. They tie the game up. That was unfortunate. Probably had to sweat a little bit more than you would have ideally, but it's the benefit of you're not now in a position in the third period where you're trying to expend so much, trying to, force your way back into this game. Like you take a breath, you regroup, you come right back at them, you end up taking back control of the game. It just puts you in such a more comfortable position.
Yep. It's, if nothing else, fun game to watch. And
entertaining, at least.
A good bit more than that to talk about on the Avs side, certainly. And we will get into all of that, but let's hit this 60-second rundown first. Avs dominated the first period and had nothing to show for it. Unfortunately, a common result of this season, too. But they do finally break through. It'd been 90 minutes without a goal, I think. And Artturi Lehkonen with some greasy, Nichushkin stuff finally gets one to go for the Avs. They get one on the board, and it feels like everyone can breathe again. Lehkonen gets a second one later, much cleaner in the second period. An actual nice shot on goal goes in.
That was party.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Up 2-0 after the second period. And then the first 5 minutes of the third period are bad. Some of that is bad luck. I don't know what the Avs are supposed to do.
That first goal is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what they're supposed to do about that. Second one, Sam Girard just does not make the correct play, and it ends up in the back of your net on a 2-on-1 the other way. Thankfully, the Avs get their business together, and Josh Manson ends up giving you the game-winning goal, 3-2, with about 7 minutes left, something like that in the third period. And the Avs take care of business, do not blow another lead, and make sure to get the dub. Brock Nelson with the empty netter to seal it. That was like way more than a minute, I think, but it's fine. Yeah. Look, are those 5 minutes bad? Absolutely. You don't ever feel good about having a 2-goal lead and blowing it in that amount of time. But I'm also pretty okay with it, given how well the Avs played for the rest of this game.
The right team won.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, the play from Girard is
way more problems with that one than the first one, for sure.
It's just frustrating, even more than the mistake itself. It's just the lack of situational awareness, like you talked about on the watch along, whereas weird stuff's going to happen in a game, but why are you putting yourself in that precarious position in the first place? Like, just don't take a risk that allows you to potentially beat yourself because you're dominating a team that you should be. And I'm just glad that they were able to come back and take control of the game, because this would have been a really annoying post-game show if we had to spend 15 minutes on that sequence.
Yeah. And the Avs immediately understood too. When they get that lead back and you get into the last 5 minutes of this game, you see all of the defensemen making sure the puck gets deep and doing the right play. Just in that moment, Sam Girard has to recognize this is a 2-1 hockey game in the third period. You can try and make a play, but you cannot put yourself in a situation where you're giving up an odd man rush to the other team while you have a lead in a third period of a game.
It's easy, obviously, to say from the bleachers, but it felt like he had space to get that puck deeper in the zone. And he just tried to extend it out.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden you're giving up an odd man rush. And it just frustrating. I mean, that's the stuff that, gives fuel to the fire of those that get frustrated with Sammy G. He's kind of a giveth, taketh type player, but it just can't happen in that scenario. And again, fortunately, you're able to come back, and man, Manson ripped one.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shot. Truly. Manson has always had a pretty decent shot that, it ranges on accuracy on any given night, but
he's going to let it fly though. Like,
right.
For all the time we have to pound on the table and you feel frustrated with games like the other night where, you're at like 15 shots for the first two periods. Guys like Josh Manson are going to help those shot totals. And I mean, he's kind of the perfect example of why sometimes you just let it rip and good things are going to happen.
Yep. We've been yelling at the Avs for them to do that for a week plus at this point.
Almost 2. Yeah.
And they did tonight, over 40 shots on goal at the end of the game. The type of hockey mechanically underlying that you wanted to see. Just from I don't know. I don't think effort is necessarily the right word, but just the Avs having their head in the game in the right way. This is their last one. We're now going on a 3-week hiatus until our next NHL game. Not that there won't be hockey, which we will be covering, by the way. But really, really nice to see the Avs remind you that, hey, we're actually still pretty good.
I was particularly happy with some of the neutral zone play in this one, and just it felt like the Avs did a far better job of sustaining possession and giving themselves opportunities and just the little things. Like that's the stuff that I feel like had been lacking in recent weeks, where it felt like the attention to detail just wasn't quite what it needed to be.
Yep.
You give up dumb plays when you do that. Obviously, you have the one catastrophic mistake in this that leads to a goal. But outside of that, really sharp execution on both ends of the ice tonight.
Yeah, much cleaner breakouts, much better offensive zone in every imaginable way, I would say, to be honest. And it's not, again, this is not a perfect game. I'm not trying to say the Avs were perfect. There were some issues in your own zone from Brent Burns. Josh Manson made a couple of questionable decisions at times. But the Avs kept the mistakes, for the most part, isolated, right? Goals happen to you when you stack mistakes on mistakes. You make 2-3 bad plays in a row, and it ends up in the back of your net. And the Avs didn't do much of that outside of the Girard play. I think made probably 2 bad decisions in a row, and then you really did not get a great effort from Mackenzie Blackwood on that goal. That's 3 mistakes, and it's in the back of your net. There are goals that also go in that are not your fault, like the first one that goes in against the Avs, and you just have to live with that. But I do think it's important. Obviously, I didn't want to see the Avs blow their initial 2-goal lead, but the resilience was back, right? They showed, hey,
that's a good point.
Even when things aren't necessarily going our way, we get back up on the horse and we'll take care of business. Now, are the Sharks the greatest team in the league? No. This is a team that you expect them to get it done against. But you also have to tip the cap to Yaroslav Askarov a little bit here tonight.
He kept them in it.
The game could have been 5-0 at the end of the second period if that one guy wasn't playing well. So there is some credit deserved to the Sharks here for keeping this a possibility. And the Avs probably played better than the scoreboard shows tonight.
Yeah, there have been some games where you put 4 or 5 in the back of the net and you don't even feel like the Avs were all that overwhelming in the game. Yeah. I felt like there were significant stretches where the Avs could have very easily scored 2-3 goals and
for sure,
in a 4 or 5 minute stretch. So the pressure was just what it needed to be. It was nice to see this team come out with a fire. We know that in the big picture, it's not the end of the world if they drop this game, but it just feels so much better to be able to go into the Olympic break on a high note, to win at home again. I mean, obviously the last homestand wasn't exactly what you were hoping to see. This was the type of performance that allows you to go into the break with your head held high, a lot of confidence, instead of all the dumb conversations you have to have if you do blow this game, to where it's, I don't know, the Avs are kind of fizzling a little bit. What kind of momentum are they going to have out of the break? And a lot of that is still TBD, even with the win. But man, dubs feel a whole lot better than losses. And it was just nice to see this team respond.
And I do want to emphasize, we're going to talk about obviously the main guys in the second period here, but a team effort on putting pucks on net tonight. Was it perfect? No, but only one forward in this game did not at least register one shot on goal, and that's Taylor McCarr, who played a grand total of,
I was gonna say, it was even on the ice
3
for
minutes
5
and
minutes,
25 seconds. Honestly, probably should have had a shot on goal anyway that he missed, but the Avs at forward course stepped up and actually played offense tonight, which was nice to see.
Needed this type of game from Nichushkin. I mean, it's always great when you get a couple goals out of Lecky too. He's somebody who can be real loud or real quiet depending on what stretch he's in. But I mean, this is what you needed from Val, especially, after that Detroit game, and you just have the instance of him not really being locked in, not looking to put the puck on net. It just felt like they got a lot of big plays from him. Obviously the point production, but even just some of this work on the boards and the physicality that he brought in this one. It was kind of a vintage Nichushkin performance. And I don't know if they've had quite enough of those over the last couple of weeks.
Well, and you mentioned the neutral zone play and things like that earlier. When you're getting the good version of Nichushkin, that's where he really makes you better. On those transition
especially
plays.
When you don't have Landy, that's a big role that you need him to fill.
Yep. You've been waiting for some of those step ups in the absence of a Landy, and now you have Taves back on the back end, which, by the way,
it's awesome.
The Avs defense looks so much better, even with the mistakes that they made with him in the lineup. In both of these games, really, we can have the Landy versus Taves conversation. Taves clearly has made them better 2 games into his return, so you got to give some credit there. The other thing I wanted to touch on here, in a lot of these recent losses, your best players are losing you the game. They come out there, whether it's not necessarily just lack of production, but it's what they're giving up on the other end. Today, your top line, +4. On the ice for all goals for and none of the goals against from your top forward line.
You can't ask for much more than that.
That's the good, man.
Yeah. That's Avalanche hockey.
Yeah, exactly. That's the type of domination that you expect out of those guys. Even if you are missing a Nichushkin, even if you are missing some guys, you expect them to go out there and be the best players on the ice. And that is what you got. So it's hard to be too upset. In fact, I'm not upset at all. I'm quite happy with the Avs top players in this game. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, really, I guess if you want to nitpick, it would have been nice to see McKinnon, find the back of the net or something like that. But I mean, you could say that literally every single night. So
yep. If you're looking at a top guy who don't think was the best in the world tonight, it was Cale Makar. You still saw some of those wide shots. You still wonder kind of where that magic has gone when it comes to him actually producing. But even there,
kind of baffling.
It is. But you look at the plays that get made with Cale Makar on the ice, and it's no secret that all of a sudden they're not giving up nearly as much defensively. All of a sudden the 2-on-1s aren't happening. All of a sudden you're not watching Cale Makar get caught because Devon Taves is back there.
Well, I just think he can think so much less.
Yep.
When Taves is out there, just go out there and be an incredible athlete and trust your instincts.
Yep. It's I think a factor I don't want to overlook is how much Devon Taves frees up your best players to do what they do. It's a great way to put it. Avs, look, Is this game going to be like their champions call when they get back from the break? No, it's just going to be another win on the scoreboard. But,
Man, that February 4th game against the Sharks.
right. No, that's not what it's going to look like. But
It was a hell of a lot more fun than the Detroit game,
right.
though.
You go into it on a high, everyone gets to feel better. They get their time off, and you don't spend your first 3 days of your vacation thinking, man, we could have won that game. I'm stewing about it. No, you get to go have your beers on the beach and enjoy life for the first week of the vacation. And then, eventually you have to come back and start practicing again. But good vibes. The Avs haven't had enough good vibes over the last 3-4 weeks. You get to have some good vibes. They've earned that going into the break with this win. We're going to take our first break of the show here and shout out a few of our sponsors.
Home wins hit every single time. So does Raising Cane's. Hit the spot at Raising Cane's where every chicken finger is hand battered and cooked to order. Every crinkle cut fry comes from grade A premium potatoes. Each thick sliced Texas toast is lightly brushed with Cane's garlic butter blend and grilled to golden brown perfection. Most importantly, there's always that sweet special Cane's sauce made in restaurant every single day. The Cane's box combo is sure to hit the spot and leave you craving more. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love. I could go for some Cane's right about now.
Delicious. Late night Cane's chicken fingers and sauce. Sell me on that. You don't have to even. I'm good. I will go buy some.
I'm already on board.
Right. You got me. Look, the NHL might be pausing, but that doesn't mean there's still plenty of action at Bet365. Do you like the Olympics? I like the Olympics.
I love the Olympics.
You can be reasonable and bet on sports that you know things about, like the hockey, or you could go crazy. Look,
U.S. curling, baby.
I believe that. I put that in my bets and pregame. Go pop off on them. I can't name a single person in the biathlon, but if you don't think I'm going to be betting on some random guy, I'm getting in on that. Super fun to have a little fun with Bet365 at the Olympics. If you want to make some fun bets, sign up with code DNVR365. When you do, you put $10 in your account. You bet $5 on anything. Don't even have to hit the bet. Win or lose the bet, you get $200 in bonus bets. And when you make silly, dumb bets on the Olympics, when they're bonus bets, it doesn't feel as bad because that's free money. So you got free money to bet on the Olympics. Code DNVR365. When you do gamble with Bet365, of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by that Bet365. 3 stars of this one, though I do think there'll be some other players we want to dig in on. Star number 3 goes to Josh Manson, who we were already talking about getting the game-winning goal. We talk a lot about the mindset of the Colorado Avalanche, and you can just see the clear difference when the Avs are stepping up and willing to shoot the puck as opposed to when they're not. And there are various reasons why they're not. But when they are, you put 40 shots on teams with regularity. This is not, oh man, this is the best the Avs have played all season. This is what the Avs do when they're locked in and playing the right way.
And I mean, a guy like Manson, while at times maybe is willing to take some shots that you could live without, I feel like he does such a nice job of, I'm just going to step up and take this space and let it rip. All the attention is on the other guys. He knows it. You know it. I know it. They're giving me the shot. I'm going to take it.
Yep.
And I love the big momentum swing plays that he makes on both sides of the ice. He's a loud player. Sometimes that's a negative. Sometimes that's a positive.
Sure.
But more often than not, he makes a positive impact on the game. And his willingness to let that rip is something that I wish some of the other guys would embrace a little bit at times. So it was just kind of like the perfect example of this game as a whole. You shot the hell out of the puck. Yeah. You score on just a slapper where you let it rip. I love to see it.
It's the exact... We talked the other day, I guess you weren't here, J. Mike, but on the off day show, we talked about the Avalanche and making the wrong mental decision of when the puck's not going in for you and trying to get tighter and cuter and make the perfect play. And they didn't do that tonight. And Josh Manson is the ultimate result of, hey, when we get the puck, shoot it. Yeah, the goalie's stopping a lot of our stuff, but eventually one's going to go in. You shot it 40 times, a third one went in, you won the game.
I feel like you just kind of have to have an irrational level of confidence to play this game at that level anyways.
Yeah.
And Manson just kind of has, again, sometimes it's for better or for worse, but that guy's going to play his game and he's not going to second think it.
Yeah. And when it works, we all get to sit here and be happy about it. Second star. Honestly, I think you could make an argument for first star here for Val Nichushkin, but I put him at second with a 3-assist night. You kind of mentioned the good defensive play, the good neutral zone play, alongside with the guy being the setup man. And again, look at the first assists. They don't all have to be the pretty style play. You just crash the net, chaos, good stuff. It goes in. Okay. Now you know it's normal human nature to, when you haven't scored in 4 periods, like, hey, we kind of got to get the monkey off the back here, or whatever you want to call it. Val Nichushkin is a very high-level player, but he is not the Nathan MacKinnon. He is not the true superstar in the NHL. You have to know when it's time to play your role and do the dirty work.
I thought he was the most impactful player on the ice tonight.
I think that's a fair argument.
It's hard to say that somebody who scored twice didn't have the best showing. So again, like, I think you guys at this point can put it together who the first star is going to be. But this was the type of game for like a week and a half I've been begging to see from Big Val.
Yep. It's been a long time coming for him, for sure.
He's like the only guy I almost wish you weren't going to Olympic break now for, just because I'd like to be able to see you keep this momentum going. But I feel like this was a much needed showing, especially, you know, like we've talked about it before, but when you don't have Landeskog, and now especially you don't have Nichushkin, like these are the games you need him to shine just a little bit brighter. And we're not asking you to be Nathan MacKinnon. We're just asking you to be Val Nichushkin, and he was tonight.
Well, in long term, and this is true of Lecky too, as our first star, scored twice. This is probably their last audition on the top line.
Yeah.
You're going to get back from the Olympic break, and Nichushkin is going to be back for sure, and Landy is probably going to be back too. So, you know, who ends up playing on that first line? Maybe a 3-assist night from Val. Hey, what if we play him with Nichushkin and MacKinnon back from the break? Maybe a 2-goal game from Lecky is, hey, we'll put him back with Nichushkin and MacKinnon because we know that worked in the past. They were also playing Landy up there a ton before he got hurt.
I will be really interested to see kind of how that dynamic plays out. And some of it might be how he looks even in the Olympics, to be honest. Like, how are you moving?
True. That will be a factor of it. But these guys are playing for roles in the top 6. Getting demoted to the second line isn't the worst fate imaginable by any stretch of the imagination. And we've seen that second line be very good together. But look, every hockey player wants more. They want to earn their keep. They want to show they can be one of the key factors on the top line. Or I don't want you on
my team if it doesn't irk you a little bit.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, like that's the good type of ego you should have.
I don't know how to manage an ego. I'm not going to pretend to like.
I'm not good enough at anything to have to worry about that.
Anytime I think I get an ego, someone stomps me and it's like, all right, well, I suck.
The earth and living life in general do a good job of keeping us humble.
No kidding. The Avs, I don't think any of them have a particularly big ego. Maybe a little bit on MacKinnon, but even that is not.
I just think he's relentlessly competitive.
Yeah,
I just think he's a psychopath more than I think he's an egomaniac.
I would agree with that, honestly. But you get these results from guys that are not going to be marked down as the stars of your hockey team, even if they are great hockey players. You know they're not the tippy top of the team, and you get A+ performances of them when you're asking to get A+ performances out of them.
Well, and this is the exact reason you try and build up the depth that you worked so hard to establish over the last 18 months, because you are going to have stretches where Landy or Marty or whoever is in the lineup. And at times we've seen, you know, these guys really step up and answer the call. Times it's been a little bit of quiet, and it seemed like they were kind of sitting around waiting for Nate or whoever to go out and do it. They took matters into their own hands tonight, and it was really, really encouraging on multiple levels.
No more waiting around. I love the way you put that. I want to give some credit somewhere else. Obviously, those are the big 3 keys of the game. But when you look at the Avs' depth tonight, you know, the fourth line, the third line ended up not scoring any goals today.
They were good, though.
But they probably deserved better, right?
The fourth line, I felt like, was everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple instances where they were able to, for an extended stretch, keep the puck in the O zone. And they did the dirty work tonight.
Yep. Just as an example, Victor Olofsson on the ice, 9 shots for, 0 shots on goal against.
That's your fourth line?
Really third
line, I guess.
But still, A+ work. That's what you ask out of those guys. And on a night where you're going up against a goalie who isn't red hot, they probably get rewarded on the offensive side too. And this is more what I'm talking about when I talk about, hey, the Avs are playing Avalanche hockey. It's every line going north, every line playing the correct way to get the Avs where they need to go, even if at times the results aren't necessarily there. We've watched the Avs.
I mean, you said it earlier, there's a world in which you win you go up 4-5-1 in this game.
You walk
easy.
away with it. And not the case. And it didn't break the Avs. That's
a good point too.
The bad puck bounce and the bad play against, it didn't break the Avs. They had the responses to the adversity they've faced into this game, unlike so many games where, they get scored on in the first 30 seconds by Detroit and follow it up with 12 shots on goal in 2 periods. Like, that's not you living up to the moment. This game, the Avs lived up to the moment, even when things weren't necessarily going their way.
Even winning it in regulation was deceptively huge.
Yeah.
Like, let's not prolong this. Let's just we have dominated this game.
Right.
We're not letting this go to OT.
Finish the job. And they did. It is the San Jose Sharks. I don't want to oversell this, and look, as much as I love dunking on the homie Nick, you feel a lot different in a game if you blow a 2-0 lead to a team like a Dallas, to a team like a Minnesota in a third period, because you're not as confident. You can't just overpower that team in the third period, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say I feel great about it, but I do feel good about the Avs' resiliency in the game that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, big picture, if you lose this game like we established, it's not the end of the world because of what you've done over the first couple of months. It also would be a really annoying loss because you're just better than this team. Right. And you saw that for 45 minutes.
Game, yeah.
And then you saw it again for, the final 5 to 10 or so.
Yep.
So you got the right result. The process played out correctly, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit sweatier than you would have hoped for, but I mean, that's hockey.
Yeah, I'm just looking up and down the lineup and I'm trying to find a player that had a genuinely bad game. Sam Girard had a genuinely bad play.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a bad game.
I don't think so at all.
That sequence is ugly enough if you want to isolate it. I would say just, again, the lack of situational awareness I don't know if you can say he had a good game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like all night you're sitting there wanting to pull your hair out.
It's just how many, especially when you're looking at the Avs defense. And again, I know this wraps around to Taves, but how many games this whole season, let alone this bad stretch, have we sat there and gone, oh man, that defenseman looks unplayable tonight? There was none of that. There was no guy that I felt like you couldn't put out on the ice for the Colorado Avalanche tonight. Even if there were mistakes, even if there were things you needed better from guys, it wasn't this constant, this is his 4th shift in a row, or he's turned it over and given up a 2-on-1 or whatever. Mistakes got made and then corrections got made.
Well, I'll say this, and I'll try not to go too long because I know we got another break coming up, but I do think it speaks volumes, the confidence that this coaching staff has in these guys. I mean, look, Sammy Girard, was it a really frustrating play? Yes. He's also a very important piece of the puzzle with what you do. Yep. You need him.
Yep.
He's right back out there 90 seconds later.
How ugly it was in the first 15 games of the season when he was out.
Totally.
And everyone was like, oh man, the Avs defense looks way worse without Sam Girard in it.
I mean, the guy, he plays hard, covers a ton of ground. He has instances where he tries to do too much, and at times it bites you.
For sure.
But I liked that even after that play, and I'm, on the watch long screen, get him off the ice. 90 seconds later, he's back out there doing his thing. And like, I do think that's the right way to handle that. Like, what are you going to do? Bench him?
Yeah, clearly not. You can't. Unless you want to start playing Keaton Middleton again.
I was gonna say, I mean, we watched some of those Middleton minutes, and that's not an island I want real estate on.
Same. I'm good. I
could have picked something other than an island these days, I suppose. All right, let's take a quick breather real quick. We'll be right back in the third period after we shout out these partners. At Common Spirit Health, they're more than just hospitals and clinics. They're a team of passionate and expert caregivers dedicated to your well-being, woven into the very fabric of your community. From preventative care to advanced surgical solutions, their skilled physicians and caring staff are here for you. They're offering personalized treatment tailored to your unique needs. You can expect a blend of cutting-edge technology with a commitment to human kindness at their 20 hospitals and 240 clinics and care sites right here in Colorado. Whether it's a routine checkup, managing a chronic condition, or responding to an emergency, you can trust Common Spirit to deliver exceptional care close to home. Love that. Love the dependability. Experience the difference compassion makes. Find a Common Spirit location near you and discover a new standard of health and healing by visiting mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health, the official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos.
Once you get your healing in, you're also going to want to get your sporting in. When you want to go to a game, whether it be an Avs game, a Nuggets game, hell, you can probably get tickets to the Olympics if you're in Italy. Go get it with Game Time. Use Game Time and the DNVR code when you sign up to get $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms do apply there, but Game Time has tons of ways for you to save money on tickets, whether it's their section selector, or you can get last-minute ticket deals, or you can just use the Game Time Picks feature. Search for the tickets you want. Game Time will filter out all the junk and only show you the best tickets for the best prices. You can even get into concerts and theaters. It's not just sports. Game Time has you covered, and they have an all-in price. They show you the full price, so there's no surprises when you get to check out and see some silly number that wasn't what it showed originally because of stupid fees or
breathing
something like
on
that.
A Wednesday fee.
Yeah, exactly. None of that with Game Time. They show you the full price. Again, get with them. Use the DNVR code when you sign up to get $20 off your first purchase. There's a link down in the description where you can get the app today. Tap, ticket, go. Download that Game Time app today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. I did want to touch on Devon Taves as an individual too. We have covered a lot of the ground of how he helps the Avs, maybe not directly, but indirectly by moving guys back into the right places and giving guys confidence and the trust there. But you were also seeing a much better version of Devon Taves today than you saw against Detroit the other day.
Look, even the first play aside, he showed some rust in that one, and I think that's fair. As good as this team is, every now and then we have small instances or reminders of their mortality. They are, in fact, human beings.
How dare they, honestly?
I mean, it's annoying when that happens. Like, just be perfect, whatever. But yeah, I thought he was really sharp in this one. And it felt like the classic instance of, look, he's not the highlight guy, but everybody else is able to play their game without fear because they have Devon Taves back there as just kind of like the ultimate failsafe.
Yeah, it's so... And those who follow the advanced stats look into Devon Taves' numbers this year, and they're not great. They're not what they have been for the last couple of years for him in Colorado. And that does matter. Like, I don't want to take that away. I'm all for advanced stats. I love them, and I think they tell you a lot about the game that maybe your eyes miss. But it's also very easy to look at this team and say they need the version of Devon Taves that is super solid defensively, that has the stick work where he's knocking pucks out of midair left and right. He has to be that guy for them. You can't work around that issue. He's too important.
Well, and how do you quantify numerically? I mean, I guess you can sort of just by like looking at, well, what's the goals for versus goals against when he's out there, that type of stuff. What kind of chances are you generating? But I don't know if you can quantify the entire impact he makes.
Yeah.
Because it allows others to elevate their game. Like, it's hard to articulate that in a stat, but you can see it when you watch this team. how much more comfortable, how much better the pacing is, how much better the spacing is, how much better they are in transition scenarios. Like he's so smooth out there, and he never tries to do too much, which I love about him.
Yeah, hockey is not baseball, and I love baseball. I'm not trying to dunk on baseball, but baseball, you can isolate individual events so easily that those statistics mean significantly more than they do in a game like hockey, which the statistics are important. Again, don't overlook those. You should be using those to help yourself.
This isn't an anti-analytical rant.
You need those to understand hockey and understand what's happening out there. But also, like, you have to trust your eyes too.
Sometimes it's just like, it's as simple as, I don't know, man, I watch this team 80 to 100 times a year. Right. And I can tell you that visually, it just looks a hell of a lot better when Devon Taves is out there.
There's a thing that's clearly working. Like it's
and you feel it. Like there's a confidence that the team plays with when he's out there. There's a freeness to them that I just, again, I think it is as simple as we don't have to overthink as much.
The only other guy I wanted to ask you about as far as like individual specifics here, Mackenzie Blackwood. Only gives up 2 goals. We usually talk about that as a mission accomplished, but not particularly tested tonight. And again, multiple mistakes lead to goals. Didn't love that one, the second one from Blackwood. It was
a softie. I mean, you're in a not great position off of a bad turnover.
Yep.
But those are the ones like in the postseason. You got to step up and make that play.
Yep.
Like you got to bail them out in that instance. Maybe twice, maybe hopefully not much more than that in a game, but you know, there's always going to be those 1 to 2 shots a game that really swing it one way or the other.
Well, and this wasn't a game where the Avs defense was letting him down like we've seen recently. This was a game where the Avs were dominating and they were having that bad 5-minute stretch, and getting that one big save can be the difference between, okay, now you're in a tie game that you have to go back to work in, and you survived that moment. Now, to be fair, Sam Malinsky was tackling a guy, and the Avs were about to go on the PK if they didn't score there anyway. So, you know, take what you want from that. But Blackwood has been great. I'm not trying to use this as like a knock on him of like, he needs to be better. But you see a puck like that end up in the back of the net, and you wonder, is this the Avs making their lives harder again?
Well, and you know what he's capable of. He's made those types of saves before. It's it's not. I think back to even 2 years ago, where it just became the expected.
Yep.
The softies were going to find the back of the net.
Yeah. It's
not, it's almost a positive recognition of how good he's been this year, that like you're sitting there thinking, man, I'm a little surprised he didn't make that play.
Yeah. That's the, hard part about being special, right? When you are playing to be the best team in the league, when people believe that Mackenzie Blackwood is, I don't know, top 5, but a top 10 goalie in the NHL, those expectations fall upon you. And when you don't make them, you're not living up to expectation, even if that's unfair.
I also feel like the Avs, as a fan base, have a little bit of like what I call Denver Broncos syndrome with the quarterbacks, where it's like, because you watched Patrick Waugh play at the highest level possible.
Totally unfair. Yeah.
It's just the baseline is you're starting at such a disadvantage from an expectation standpoint.
Didn't have a .930 career save percentage. You're a bum.
Like imagine how good you would feel, like if, especially with like teams like Edmonton, like the last couple of years, if you put a Mackenzie Blackwood on that team, that they'd have been like, oh my God, this is incredible. Right? Never seen anything like this before. What is
happening? This guy's so good.
We're like, yeah, that's just how you're supposed to play the position, actually.
I don't get what's so complicated about it.
Just be really good.
We have Jared Bednar's post-game presser too. He again had a lot to say. I like a talkative Bedsy. I like it when he's got ideas. Let's hear from
good things to say.
Yeah, I like good things.
Hit that thumbs up.
Not bad things. Give me shots.
Coach, did you play the way that you wanted it to? Did you get the energy and the effort and the focus that you wanted to get to the break with?
Yes, I think we did. Yeah, I liked our. Like, we wanted to concentrate on our start and get on our toes a little bit here offensively, and because we've been having some games recently where it's like 5, 6, 9 shots a period, and when we're really good and on our toes, we shoot for 15. You know, we want to be 12, 15 a period and give ourselves some good looks at the net. And so that's what we kind of talked about. We've been doing a good job defensively here, but we needed to get in attack mode a little bit more 5-on-5 and then not play it so safe and get our D up and involved. And we did that from the start of the game. I loved our first 2 periods. Obviously, we had a dip at the start of the third, but really it was one lucky play. You know, like we're doing the right thing. It goes off a stick, goes in the net, and then we make a couple mistakes after that. They capitalize on one of them, but you got to regroup. You got to find a way to dig in and get back to your game as quick as you can. And I thought we did that and ended up winning the hockey game.
Megan, the nerve.
What are you seeing in the team's response to those 2 goals early in the first period that you can appreciate?
Like our first 2 goals?
No, in
the third?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, the message on the bench was like they get a good bounce on one of them, and I mean they still made a nice play. Don't get me wrong; it's a point shot, you know, on an entry, but we're in the right spot doing the right thing. It's hard to criticize our guys for that. You're trying to block a shot and it ends up in the back of your net. And then, like I said, we made a couple mistakes after that. A couple guys got in behind our D for some chances, but you have to respond. Like I thought the next couple shifts we got into the offensive zone and started playing our game again. That's what you need. You got to build a goal back, and sometimes it takes more than a shift to do that. Sometimes it takes a long time to do that, but you got to keep doing the right things and playing the right way, and not giving up on it, and not getting frustrated with it. You know, so I think mentally our guys were feeling like we could still win it, and they did.
Eric, then Ryan.
The top line obviously had, quite a few goals there. They were all multiple points, but it didn't feel like one of those games where Nathan McKinnon did anything. It was Lehkonen and Val forechecking a lot, kind of setting up plays like that. Like Lehkonen specifically, he had that strong start. He kind of had a little bit of a stagnant middle, and now he's kind of back on that line. Like, what's his season been like for you?
Well, it's been good. I mean, to this point, I think a lot of guys are having like good seasons, you know, and it's not just about production, right? Like points, and I know that's what everyone looks at. That's the first thing, but he just does so much for us, and is like he never going to cheat you on his work ethic and his commitment. And sometimes they go in for you, sometimes they don't, but he's been a steady player for us. There's not too many, like we rank our players, we talk about their games after every game and sort of pick it apart, what we like, what we didn't like, and we have notes on all of it. And there's not too often where we're like he was no good tonight, you know, like he's always contributing in some way, whether it's, you know, just the consistency in his play, winning the wall battles, playing the right way, and suppressing chances even if he's not getting a whole bunch. Like I look at our team, and I'm sure every team's the same way. I'm sure they are. Like it's, again, this isn't exclusive to us, but it's a lot of hockey in a short period of time. And if you, like the way we play, you have to have energy. You have to have energy to make it look like, you know, and it gets harder and harder to mentally fight through it the more tired you get. You know, early in the year, it was like, it just felt like we were going to win every night we came to the rink. Guys had a bunch of energy. We were winning games by some margin, so we were using our whole bench all the time. We've been trying to do that as much as possible, but even tonight again, you know, if we ever make it 3-0, we can use our whole bench and guys don't play as much. It goes to 2-1 and then 2-2, and then you're shortening your bench again. And we've been shortening our bench a lot here recently, and it's taking its toll on Brock Nelson. Hasn't played his best over the last handful of games. Nathan hasn't played his best. It's not that they're not trying. It's just like when you don't have energy, it's hard to win every puck battle and win every race, and that's where the game starts. Races and battles, you know, and the detail. But when you're sharp mentally and you're feeling it and you have energy, it's easy to play the right way and win those races and battles, which gets you started, right? And we haven't been doing that as much recently, and fatigue is definitely a factor. But like I said, you have to be able to mentally push through that, just like every team is trying to do at this point.
Right.
I wanted to ask you about Sam Girard. It looked like he was a little late in the back check during that turnover on the Kurashev goal. Would you put fatigue, just what you just mentioned, into how Gerard's been playing, how would you evaluate his play and decision making?
Well, I actually think his game's been like turning around. Like recently, he's been playing pretty good. That was just a bad decision. There's no way you're gonna get back on that. Like the puck comes, it's sort of a broken play. It's trickling out to the point. The pressure's coming. A good decision would have been just punch it back down behind the net, below the goal line. You don't have to try to make something out of nothing, especially at the time. And like what just happened, like they just got a quick one. They're starting to want to pour it on, and then we make that mistake, and next thing you know, the game's tied. I don't know if Kale would have got back on that one, right? Like once you turn it over and the guy's going to step on you for the length of the ice, he's going to get his scoring chance, right? So that's more decision than not being able to catch the guy.
Last two, Colin.
Kind of talking about that energy factor, Nichushkin has kind of had a little bit of a up and down January. This is his second 3-point game. Is it almost a little frustrating that he kind of heated up tonight right before the break?
No, we'll take it. We'll take it anytime it comes. I think Val went through a stretch, like he was playing really good hockey, and then he went through a stretch where he was snake bitten, lost his confidence, wasn't skating the way we want him to skate. Like for me, Val's game all comes together when he's driving his legs and when he has energy. Because he's so big, even if he fights a puck a little bit, he still comes up with it with his compete and his size and length, and he got away from it for a while. You know, we talked about it. You know, he knew he was away from it. He knew he was trying to. Everything he touched seemed like it was bouncing on him, and he wasn't moving his legs. And when he does, he just still comes up with those pucks. And he's gotten back on it here over the last couple of weeks. I think he's playing better hockey, and you know, we've elevated him in the lineup now. He's, you know, was on the power play, and I think all that stuff helps. It's like kind of the dance that we do. If you know, like sometimes getting some touches on the power play helps guys 5-on-5 too. So we've been kind of tiptoeing around that for a little bit, you know, with how we deploy guys and trying to get guys going. And it's a little bit like Colton. He went through the cold stretch, and all of a sudden now he's playing with energy. He's really relentless and tenacious on pucks. He's been playing real well for us here recently.
Last one, John.
How are you balancing having 8 guys taking on the world, but also suspending this great run? I mean, is it kind of an emotional battle a little bit?
I think we need it right now. I do. Like if we would have been rolling into this break, it'd be like, you know, you're always nervous about how you're going to come out of it. I'm still nervous about how we're going to come out of it, but I think we need it right now. Like we haven't been playing fantastic hockey. We've been grinding and fighting, like mental fatigue, you know, just fatigue, physical in general, for some time. So I think the break's coming at a good time. We also have a couple of guys that are still out with injury that I think we could get back, obviously, after the break, and hopefully no one gets hurt in the Olympics, and we can hit the ground running. I think the break will be really good for some guys, even some of our young guys like Brins. Like they never played this much hockey before, you know, especially now when you have to be sharp and focused and, you know, playing every second night. They're not used to it, so I think it can do us some good. It also gives us a chance to just kind of decompress mentally and come back more focused and sort of a new start to the season. I'm confident in our guys that will come out well, and maybe it helps something like the power play for guys to just get away from it and put their frustration away and just start fresh and see where we go.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, a pretty fair statement from Jared saying they haven't been playing their best hockey lately, but also you're getting a good work out of guys like Nichushkin and otherwise today. Yeah, that's a W, Tiff, not an L. The Avs aren't 1-4; they're 2-3. I do think it is worth noting. Look, we try to look at things from all angles on the pod. Game by game, there have been some frustrating ones. Big picture, the Avs are totally fine. They are 2-3 through the first 5 games of this stretch of 10. Now, this is an interesting stretch of 10 because you're about to have 3 weeks off, but there is going to be some looking at the Avs coming back from the break, and the expectation is they're going to have to show up and start winning hockey games.
Well, and you should be, knock on wood, Hail Mary, whatever superstition you believe in, they should be fairly close to full strength at that point. I mean, I think there's a lot of reason to feel pretty confident about the direction the Avs are going into the break, even with this most sluggish stretch. Like if this is the worst it gets all year, you don't have that much to worry about.
Correct. If the Avs are losing games on the return from the break, I don't know that that's necessarily a huge problem. If the Avs are losing games, putting up 20 shots on goal a game again on the other side of the break, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if it's another effort like we saw against Detroit during the takeover, that's a different conversation. Right. But that's the outlier at this point.
All right. Legally obligated special teams talk time.
We do have to talk about it. I don't want to. You don't want to hear about it, but we've got to do it.
We got to, until it scores, we got to keep talking about it.
Well, and it's gotten to a point now where it's comical.
You can't.
Like they could be playing the best hockey, just dominating 5-on-5. And the minute it becomes a power play scenario, Dead. It was hilarious. We talked about it post game the other night, but it's funny just the difference of being in the arena versus like doing a watch along here. When you just power plays are supposed to be this energizing moment. They're supposed to like bring the hype out of the crowd. And you can hear a pin drop when like that arm goes up and it's a groan as almost as if you just gave up a penalty. Like I think I feel more stress and anxiety when it's a power play than I do when it's a penalty kill at this point.
Yeah, honestly, there is far more pressure on the power play at this point, and
they're feeling it too. You can just visually, you can see like they overthink everything. I don't know what, maybe this is exactly what they need, the Olympic break, to get some of these guys a different setting, change of scenery, maybe pick the brains of some of the other best players in the world. I don't know. I mean, maybe you just ignore it altogether, and then that's what allows you to fix it, is just by getting out of your head. But
something
it's historically bad at this point.
Obviously, I've been yelling to do something about it for the last week, and I was the guy willing to be patient through the first half of the season. I was the guy saying it can't continue to be this bad. They're good. They're going to get better. It's going to improve. It's going to improve. And it hasn't. Like, I was just completely wrong about that.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, there is a world in which these numbers even out drastically over the final third of the season, but I don't think that anyone can feel all that confident that it's going to happen, because we have to have the proof of concept at some point. And it just hasn't been there.
This break is your second to last deadline. If the Avs come back from this break and you have it's like 10 days from the return to the break to the trade deadline. If it looks terrible in that
you got to
stretch,
change something.
You have to do something. There is no, it would be nice. You have to do something if they come back from this break and it's still awful.
It's the one thing that if they can't get it right is going to give people pause to really truly believe in this team making a deep run, because they have all the capability in the world. It really does defy logic to see this team struggle to, not only are they struggling to score, like they're struggling to even create genuinely dangerous opportunities. It's not even, there were a couple of stretches, November, December, where they weren't producing, but you didn't feel like the process was atrocious.
Yep.
I mean, it's to a point now where it's just broken.
Right. Process mattered 30 games ago.
Now now it's all going to be result oriented. But
puck go net or puck don't go net.
But I feel like it's trending the wrong direction process wise too.
It's not in an awesome spot. There's only so many ways we can say this. We've been saying it all year. And we do it because people want to hear about it. But there's just nothing left to say other than fix it.
I mean, they genuinely might be better off just immediately taking a penalty and going 4-on-4. And it's tongue in cheek. You obviously wouldn't literally do that, but
you're about as close as you can get to actually literally do
the fact that it's somewhat of a conversation where you could be like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, that's bad. And it's
And what's annoying is it would be nice if you could just put in the excuse of, well, they don't have Marty right now, but it's been all season and it has not mattered who's out there.
Yep. It really hasn't. And like, if they show up in the playoffs and have a 25% power play in the playoffs, awesome. Like,
It's fine.
Great. You did it when it mattered. That's what counts. But it's hard to have reason to believe that they will be able to do that when their power play hasn't been good for 13 months. It had that little bump
Yeah.
after the Marty trade, and then it's been terrible. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
It does feel like you have to reach a point of genuine self-reflection.
Yep.
Because it's not like you don't have the horses.
Great.
For whatever reason, you just can't get these pieces of this puzzle to line up, but you have the pieces. Theoretically, at least.
It feels like some of these puzzle pieces are coming from different puzzles at the moment, but you know
Yeah.
they've worked together before. So I don't have the answer, but it's got to get fixed. Beyond that, I think you look at guys like an Artturi Lehkonen, and you need to be making sure you give those guys enough credit. I know I gave him first star, but we kind of glazed over it where there are guys that fill different roles on a hockey team. And when you're a grinder, when you're Parker Kelly playing 11, 12 minutes a night, when you're Gavin Brindley playing 8, 9, 10 minutes a night, it's a lot easier to go full bore every shift than it is an Artturi Lehkonen playing 18, 19, 20 minutes a night. That is a workhorse for you.
On top of the pace of that line
Right.
plays, like that.
By the way,
not only are
he's
you playing
going
first line
23
minutes,
miles an
but
hour,
you're
yeah.
doing it 25% faster than anybody else in the league. Like, it's just, that's not an easy role to fill.
It's not by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. It's a interesting thing because while you didn't love it in the moment, the Avs learned, okay, if we're looking for pieces to move up to the top line, you can't really do it with Victor Olofsson.
Yeah.
That's not an option we're going to be able to go back to. So having a Lecky option that you've known for a while can do that is a nice comfort blanket. And then you get to explore a little bit. Like we talked about when Landy's back, do you want him on the top line? Do you want Nuke on the top line?
Where do you lean right now? Like, if they were to play a game tomorrow, everybody's good to go.
I think I would go Lecky, McKinnon, Natchez as your top line, which leaves you Landy, Nelson, Nichushkin as your second line.
I mean, that second line too had pretty good chemistry.
Yeah, they've been really good together, and this does fall back into the look. You're up a goal with 2 minutes left in the game. I'm throwing out Landy with McKinnon. Yeah, I'm getting that security of a heavily quality defensive forward out there. To be honest, there are probably situations where you would even have McKinnon out there for the final minute of a 2-1 game if you were really focused on Brock Nelson trying to get you a faceoff, or even a Jack Drury trying to get you a faceoff. And then your two best defensive wingers are pretty clearly Nichushkin and Landy, I would say. Not that Lecky's no slouch, but
He's solid.
If Landy's playing at his full ability, he's a very, very good defensive forward. So there's always going to be a little bit of mixing and matching with that Avs top six, but if that's,
I think the one silver lining almost of having to move some guys around over the last year because of various injuries is you actually have a pretty large sample size of all of these different groups playing together. It's not like you're in a situation where you're trying to just throw some hodgepodge line.
right. If you're a head coach or part of the coaching staff or an NHL front office, you're always trying to glean that information, right? That's the job. You don't just make your lineups on a whim every given night. You in some cases your hand is forced. In other cases, you need to take the data you have and say, okay, this is what worked, this is what hasn't. I need to put together the best lineup possible. And look, when Bednar puts in a Keaton Middleton, when Bednar maybe plays a 12th forward for fewer minutes than we would like. It's very easy to sit here and criticize those decisions. But when you look at Jared Bednar's ability to put together a lineup that is going to consistently get you wins, he's really good at that.
I think he does a good job too of not being afraid to experiment, but also not being so stubborn to where he's not willing to throw it out and be like, that I tried it, it just didn't work.
Yeah. And I don't know. We don't have to have the Jared Bednar conversation on this show again. We can do that on one of our off day shows coming up. But we do, coming in right before overtime, have the courtesy call live on the Xfinity call in line. Bailey Curtis joining us from Ball Arena. Bailey, thank you for calling in. Avs back to normal? Is that too hard to say at this point?
I don't know, but I will say it's really nice to be able to end things on a high note. And what's a better high note than Nathan MacKinnon hitting that 700 career assist mark too? Like there's a lot of really good things to take out of it, and that's just kind of the highlight when looking at this game for me. Nathan MacKinnon getting back to normal is the first start of getting Avs being back. So if that's what you're getting and you're hitting milestones like that and seeing the versions of Nathan MacKinnon you know and love, that's about as back as I need.
What can you say about Nuke in this one? I mean, we raved about him. He was one of our 3 stars, but it felt like this was the offensive outburst we've kind of been waiting for. He did a lot of the things well in this game. Thought he was great defensively as well, but I've been waiting for this type of production from him, especially, without Nichushkin, without Landeskog. This is what they needed.
Absolutely. I don't have, I think, enough good things to say about what Valerian Nichushkin was able to accomplish in this one. Obviously, you'd like to see things get going more on the goal scoring front, right? Like that's, with as much as he kind of likes to drive things for himself, drive to the net, like you'd like to see that occur a little bit more. But being able to say that the top line was clicking the way that it was starts with a conversation like Valerian Nichushkin's and being able to find his teammates the way that he did and producing the way that he did. It's when you have that production with top guys out like Martin Necas, and you're able to get that out of a Valerian Nichushkin kind of producing that way with those top guys, it's all you can ask for, right? Especially heading into a break, heading into a game where they're really wanting to end things on a high note. That's a huge plus in a game like this. So Bednar kind of mentioned too, like if fatigue draws into a lot of what these players have been going to, some of the maybe skids or not great games coming out of like these results for some of the guys. And I think Valerian Nichushkin's been part of that conversation as well, maybe being a little overworked with some of the shortening of that bench, and seeing him being able to utilize that in a way that was beneficial, not just for him, but for the team as well, is huge.
How do you balance the takeaways of a game that you dominated the vast majority of, but got put into jeopardy because of a 5-minute stretch in the third period?
I really don't know. I think the thing that I focus on really here is you had 2 really good first period, two periods to start this game off. And I think being able to utilize some of that momentum to get things back on track is huge. Timely goal from Josh Manson, being able to cushion that with a Brock Nelson to 2 guys who really have needed goals in the last couple, especially talking about maybe some of those player skids. Brock Nelson getting back on the board is huge. The fact that they were able to kind of shake that off and, come back into that a little quickly and capitalize on some of the mistakes that the Sharks started making after that is huge. So it overall, like, that little skid in the game really doesn't do a whole lot for me personally, just knowing that it didn't really affect their game as a whole. They were able to, again, use that momentum from the first 2 periods, come back into it and respond. Like that is what we've been asking of this team for the last couple, is just find some sort of energy to respond when a team is getting ahead of you. And they did exactly that.
How important was this win in the big picture? Because if you lose this game, it doesn't bury you or anything like that, but just the simple concept of going into the break on a high note.
Going in on a high note, I think, is huge for morale of the team. But in the end, I really don't think it does anything for the way that they come out of it. It'd be a little bit of a different story if we're seeing the version of the Avalanche we saw before January, before Gabe Landeskog and Devon Taves went down, where they're dominating opponents and winning, multi-goal games every single night that they play. Like that'd be a different story. Like, okay, like making sure you end things positively builds that momentum going into the break and coming out of it. For this one, I think looking at the schedule ahead for March and how stacked it is coming out of it, it's really not going to matter. What matters, I think, most of this team, yes, it's something good to end off on, but they're getting rest. They're getting much needed rest before they hit the ground, not just running, but sprinting. You're talking about 5 and 7, a multitude of games in a stretch of 50 days it's not easy for some of these guys. And so as much as it is nice to, I think, get this win and be able to, cap things off well, ultimately I don't think 2 points is 2 points at the end of the day, but it matters what you're able to do with that out of the break. And rest, I think, is going to matter more to them than being able to cap this off on a high note.
The Avs got Devon Taves back last game, but obviously it didn't end the way you wanted. Is there a level of comfortability in that D-core again? Devon getting kind of back up to speed in this game?
Absolutely. And you see that trickle-down effect coming from a guy like Devon Taves too. Brent Burns, I think, had a really great game, made some really good plays on the defensive side of the puck. And that is the Devon Taves effect, everybody. That is, I think, a huge factor in this. When you're getting a good game out of somebody like Devon Taves, that's, one of the main factors in being able to win a game. When you've got that confidence on the defensive side of the puck, being able to provide a lot of good things. And again, not just defensively, but he made some decent pushes offensively too, and creating, some decent chances for Colorado. So when you have Devon Taves firing in that way, it's huge for the confidence of this team. And it's a big reason why again, obviously it takes more than just one person to go out and put up a good two periods, but Devon Taves, I think, is a huge part of that.
That's all I've got. You got any takes left in the chamber? You want to empty the clip, call it a night?
No, I think just like these guys, I'm ready to get into break mode. Again, nice way to head into break. Nice to see some of these guys getting back on the score sheet and firing on all cylinders. Go do it again in Milan for the 8 guys heading there.
You call it break mode, but we're still doing shows 5 days a week.
I know.
You're still
I
going to
know.
find
I'm
us
aware.
on DNVR doing it, breaking it down.
Aware.
So make sure you keep it tuned here to DNVR. Bailey, thank you for calling in on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line. Go follow her on Twitter, Bailey Curtis, with 2 Y's for the Bailey, and then check out all of her written stuff on thednvr.com. She does all of our instant reactions. And yeah, that's it. We are going to not break because there'll be a show tomorrow, but we are going to the Olympic break. We'll be doing tons of coverage. Once everything kicks up, we'll be doing watch-alongs for some of the men's Olympic hockey games. We'll have a bunch of shows on that. We'll have shows on any Avalanche news and rumors and stuff too. I know specifically we have a show coming out this weekend that will cover some interesting options for perhaps the Avs. So yeah, we appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe if you haven't. This has been the DNVR Avalanche postgame show presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.